This is Ken Wood of K Wood's Tech Talk. I wanted to create a video blog today in regard to the Task Factory advanced email and SMS tasks that can be used within BIDS or SSIS. What we want to look at doing, and maybe some of you have thought of doing, just weren't sure of how to, is actually setting a list of variables. Okay, by using a list of variables, sending to multiple email addresses, and each email address being customized essentially for each email that it's sent to. Pretty simple thing to do, and I was glad we were able to do it. So I've gone ahead and I'm going to go ahead and create a video on that. So let's start with this. What I've done is I've gone ahead and created a very simple sample Excel document. This is what I'm going to use as my source. So as you can see, we have an email column, name column, and a body. Emails, obviously, are the email list. Name, I just simply added in there as an additional column that lists the name of the individuals, myself and two of my colleagues. Now, the body, as we were mentioned, being customized, I kept it simple for test purposes, but simply putting this is a test 1, test 2, and test 3. Now, for all intents and purposes, that body is completely different. Because of the 1, the 2, and the 3. There's different information within that. Now, what I've done is I've gone ahead and, though, as you can see, when you save an Excel source, it's obviously saved. I don't want to change any of my destinations here, but we can certainly look at it. When you save an Excel document, you're actually saving it as an XLX document. So what I've done is I've gone ahead and I've actually used just for this testing purposes again, I've gone ahead and used a flat file source instead of, as you can see, flat file source instead of the Excel source that a lot of people would think that you can use. And you can. Just for testing purposes and for the ease of it, I'm simply using the flat file source in this case. So we'll go ahead and get started. As you can see, this is all the info. This is not the information. This is the information that I'm going to simply pass through. Very simple. Say you create a list. This list could go for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of rows and columns, but the results will be the same ultimately. So here's what we're going to do. Go ahead, jump back into Visual Studios. Within Visual Studios, what we're going to take is a data flow task. So we're going to simply drag over a data flow task into our control pane here, and we've done so already. I'm going to simply open up the data flow. Now, as I mentioned before, we're using a flat file source. You can use an Excel source, whatever source you wish, and where that information is stored. Simply what I did was when I saved the Excel document, I saved it as a .csv file and changed and simply changed the file type from XLXS to the CSV file type. So gone ahead and saved that so that it would work within my flat file source. So as you enter the flat file source, you are going to be required to set up a new flat file connection. In my case, I've already done so. I'll go ahead and take you to that screen now. Let me go ahead and cancel out of that, and I'll open up my Flat File Connection Manager. In my Flat File Connection Manager, you can see that I've located, again, that .csv file, and that is, in fact, the email test that we were referencing earlier. Nothing really you have to worry about in here. Just be sure that the format is delimited, and you do, in fact, have that set. For the code page, it does have to actually, I believe, be set to 1252 ANSI Latin just for it to be recognized. It may or may not be required. All I know is I've had other issues set to anything else. Description, pretty simple. I just named it as the source itself, which was email list. Come down here into columns. All of the information is listed here and can be seen. Email, name, body, Kwood, name, body. Now, here's the interesting part. As you can see, the body that actually doesn't have the numbers listed that we had specifically. So what we're actually going to have to do here is we're going to have to cancel out of this. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into my Excel document, save as. I'm going to save it into my test folder. Now, I already have one existing in there, but we're going to replace it. So I'm going to have this changed to a CSV, as you can see I've done right here. Save. I will replace it. Now that that's been replaced, you're going to see, hey, formatting's changed. What are you doing? Do you want to keep using that format? Just say yes. So that's been done. Now we're going to go simply back into Visual Studios and go back to our flat file connection. Now you'll see that it is, in fact, located, as it were. Open up the C, users, Kwood, and then we'll find our test folder. Uh-oh, nothing's there. So we find the CSV file we just created, copy it in, and now we have it ready and set. So we're good. Everything's set up there. The columns, as you can see now in the body, have been customized and changed appropriately. I'm going to go ahead and click OK, and we're done with the flat file source connection manager. Come into the flat file connection manager, select the connection manager you have just created, preview data to make sure everything in fact is there. We open it up, we extend this information out, there it is. So what we've done now is we've set that up. Now we're going to go into our columns. Now here's what's interesting about the flat file source editor, particularly with the columns button and command on the left. When you are setting each column, you'll notice there's a very specific organization or pattern to it. Email, name, body. We notice in here email, name, and body, right? So we're going to go back into Visual Studios. Notice, let's say I get a little trigger happy or click happy, and I click on email. Well, previously email was the first column. Uh-oh, well, let me just click it again. It should be first, right? No. Unfortunately, it's not. It goes name, body, and email now because email was the last thing selected after having been deselected. So to fix that, simply select all again, and it'll refresh itself. This is important because when you're pulling information from the object itself, from the source, it's going to recognize that pattern and the organization of that information. And when that changes within the component says, whoa, wait a second. What information are we pulling here? Why is it different? It doesn't automatically recognize that, and you have to ensure that that is in fact set correctly. So just wanted to show that to you. We can close out of that now. Now, I've set a record set destination to this. Now, with my flat file source, obviously, I need to set information using the entire object itself. This is my entire object, the email list, or the email test. Everything in there, that is my source, and that's what I'm going to use. This is why I use the record set destination. By using the record set destination, we can set that variable name. Now, you say, but where do the variables come into effect? Variables come into effect. You can do it as you go along, or you can set them up if you know what they're going to be up front. So here's what we're looking at. Now we have an object record set. Again, this is an object, is the data type is set to an object because this is all the information we're pulling. We want the email, we want the name, we want the body. So all of this information is being pulled and set to a variable as an object record set. Now when you tab through and you set your object record set, this will automatically populate with system.object, recognizing what is in that source already. Don't need to worry about the expression section or tab. Now, with body, email, and list, usually body, email, list, and name, you're not going to need any information in the value because that's what's going to be pulled from the source, from the object in the source. So, but in this case, with email list, regarding the SMS, advanced email and SMS task, you actually have to have a value there. We'll get into that later once we get into the component later on in the video, and I'll explain why that is. So we have our variable set. Pretty simple. Again, record set destination we have set to an object of our instance being record set. This is what we want. This is where all of our information is being pulled from. Again, I'm just going through here checking just these two really input columns again, making sure everything is organized, and I click OK. Let me close out of this real quickly. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to go into the control flow. Now, I've already set up my data flow. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go into a for each loop container. Now, the for each loop container in this case can be dragged over, simply input. You put your information, you drag the component you have in question into it. I'm going to go ahead and just delete this out, so bear with me one moment. Okay, great. So as you can see, I've already created one. Here's how it works. The for each loop container is going to take each email address and it's going to loop through each email address as you run the component, i.e., I'm going to send an email to myself, I'm going to send an email to my colleague, and I'm going to send an email to my other colleague. Now, it will loop through each task until it executes successfully. Now, here's how we set that. We're looping from our object source, the variable, we're pulling that information from and designating it to a specific email address, correct? So we set the object record set. If you put body, you put email list, it'll just confuse the component and will not work. You have the mother package, basically, and the parent package, and that is, in fact, the object record set here. So we have that, rows in the first table. That's what we're using. That's the information we have in our first table. We don't have multiple tables here, just working with one. Now, when it comes to the index, be sure that you have it organized in the manner with which you want to see the information. So in this case, we want email list first. Just to verify that, yes, we want email, name, body. All right, let's go back into Visual Studios. 0, index starting with 0. Always start with 0. Email list in the order 0, 1, and 2. Name being second and body being the third thing we want to see. So that's it there. Simply close out of that. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to set up an email connection manager after we drag over our advanced email and SMS task into our for each loop container. This is where the fun begins. Now, opening up the advanced email and an SMS task, we select and create a new email connection. I'm going to go ahead and simply access my email connection so you can see one thing in particular. Be sure that when you're conducting this, you are setting it to an SMTP for sending emails. That's what's used for sending emails, not POP3, not IMAP. Those are used for reading emails. Now, the SMTP, be sure that your server port is set to 587. Anything else, it will fail. Use the following type of encrypted connection. In this case, it's going to be the TLS. Timeout seconds doesn't really matter. Keep it default 60. We're going to go ahead and test connection. And upon successful connection, test of our connection, if my component would like to work, let's see here. Go ahead and simply wait for this connection to succeed. Server's a little overloaded right now, so it may be taking a little while. And our connection succeeded. So we click OK. Pretty simple. We had everything in there and everything was correct. So now we go back into our advanced email and SMS task. Now here again is where we're going to set the funifier, so to speak. Now within a subject, because I'm a pretty generic person, I'm going to put test in my subject. Shocker there. In my from section, I'm going to simply put kwood@pragmaticworks.com, which is my personal email address. Now we get to the to section, and you see there is my email address, again, repeated. Now, as you recall, earlier in the video, we mentioned having to set a variable when using the email list here, in this case the string value, we had to set using kwood@pragmaticworks.com, my email address. Here's why. Though the component, yes, can recognize variables, in this case, when it comes to the to, from section, what have you, the to section, the to field, it actually has to have some email address populated in there. It doesn't have to be the email address you're sending it to, just has to be some email address populated in that so that the component can recognize what it's doing and doesn't get confused. This is a way that the component is actually set up to work. So what we have here is this. Now, in order to set, as you can see, we have our object record set, but in order to set an expression using the email list we have set, we want to put property under expressions down here. We want to click on expressions, set a property to send to, set our expression. Let's open this up and I'll just show you. Let me go ahead and delete this out. Open up our variables and parameters. Take the email list with which is a list of emails we want to send information, evaluate the expression, and you will see that it in fact is evaluated successfully. Now again, it is going to be my email address because that is just a placeholder. This is not required to get the component to run successfully that you do this. I just wanted to show you why that information has to be populated and where it is recognized. So that's where that's done. Now I'm going to go ahead and simply delete that information. I'll show you how this works. Now you ask, okay, well, where does the name and the body come into the email? Do I have to do anything with that? And will it be customized per email address? Yeah, it will. So we're going to go ahead and simply take the name, title of the individual, bring it over and paste it into the body of the email. Drop down, and we're going to do the same thing with the actual body itself. Click, or the message, and we'll paste into the description or the body. So we have that done now. That's great. For the most part, that's actually finished. So what we're doing now is we just want to verify all information is correct. Yes, we have a name. Yes, we have a body. We're going to click OK. Now, I'm going to go ahead and just save my package. I'm doing just that right now. I'm going to save my package. Now, I'm going to enter my Solution Explorer to the right, right-click, and execute package, or you can simply start by executing up at the top. We're going to execute the package. But, we see that there's a red X. Now, what could this red X be? Now, I know what the issue is, but we're going to go ahead and investigate it. And this is a purposeful thing because I wanted to show up as an example. I don't know if you've ever heard the saying, but when in doubt, close it out. Now, we go in here and we look at the Progress tab. In fact, what I'll do is I'll actually go ahead and stop the component. Okay, we know our data flow task is the problem, and it's somewhere within these components. So we go in here. We look, we see caution. Flat file source cannot open the data file that's designated, the email test.csv. Okay, well, why is that? Remember, when in doubt, close it out. You'll notice that I actually still have my Excel spreadsheet open. This can't be done. Not allowed to have it open. So what we need to do is actually need to close out of it. Because again, when in doubt, close it out. Don't save, no big deal. Pull this back up. Okay, and what we can do now is we can actually successfully execute the package, or should be able to, for all intents and purposes, successfully execute the package. Again, right click, execute, and it is now executing. May take a little while, even though it is just 3. My server's a little slow today, as mentioned before. So we do see that our data flow task has in fact succeeded. All the information has been corrected because we have closed out that component. Now, what's going to happen is shortly we should see up in the upper right-hand corner the email that I sent to myself and to the list of my colleagues populated. And you can see that the component package did in fact succeed, and we should shortly see an email populate again up here in the right-hand corner, verifying that it has in fact worked. And as you can see, there is the email that I just sent to myself. Now, this is how to use the Task Factory Advanced Email and SMS task. If you have any further questions at all, anything you'd like me to test or like to see for yourself, please feel free to contact me via this blog. I'll be more than happy to help you where I can. Have a wonderful day.